What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler. You can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Wednesday, May 27th. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as Enrique Hernandez was placed on the 10-day IL with an oblique strain. Kike had just returned from a season-long IL stint 2 days ago, so this is super rough for him, and oblique strains are always rough for baseball players because of the requirement of rotation in this sport, and Hernandez is likely to miss at least a few weeks. That's usually the timetable for an oblique strain. Hernandez had been filling in for Max Muncy at the hot corner while Muncy nursed a minor injury, but with Muncy back, this won't be a huge blow to the Dodgers. Alex Freeland was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, and he could supersede Ha-Seong Kim at the keystone position after starting over him yesterday. So Alex Freeland could see more time in the Dodgers lineup. And the other injury is also happening to an LA player, as first baseman Nolan Schanuel was placed on the 10-day IL with ankle inflammation. The injury was initially described as a calf injury, but Schanuel was officially diagnosed with an ankle injury. He was the everyday first baseman for the Angels prior to the injury, and Vaughn Grissom will shift from third base to first base to cover for Schanuel, while Donovan Walton and the newly recalled Nick Madrigal platoon at the hot corner for the Angels. In terms of transactions, second baseman Nicky Lopez signed a major league contract with the Rangers. He'll be on the strong side of a second base platoon with Justin Foscue, and you know your lineup is struggling if Nicky Lopez is some sort of upgrade. Foscue's actually been pretty solid, and he was a former top prospect, so I was pretty curious to see them go for Nicky Lopez, who wasn't able to stick with the Cubs. But here we are. This is the state of the Rangers lineup. Designated hitter Andrew McCutchen was sadly designated for assignment in a corresponding move. I hope and pray that he catches on somewhere else so that he can end his career with grace. Catcher Kyle Higashioka will be on the short side of the DH platoon with Jock Peterson replacing Andrew McCutchen there. He'll also act as the backup catcher. Next, starting pitcher Jason Alexander, not the Seinfeld star, but the pitcher for the Astros, was optioned to the minors after allowing 9 earned runs in his start on Tuesday. The Astros already have a 5-man rotation without Alexander, so this won't require a corresponding rotation move. Relief pitcher Logan Van Wade was recalled for the minors in a corresponding move, though. And lastly, starting pitcher Trey Gibson was recalled for the minors to start for the Orioles versus the Rays. He tossed 5 2/3 innings, allowing 6 hits with just 1 earned run, walking 4 while striking out 1, inducing 4 whiffs with 23% CSW across 100 pitches. Gibson showed up throwing harder in this one, allowing him to churn grounders with 95-mile-per-hour sinkers inside to right-handed batters and 84 to 85 mile-per-hour curveballs low to left-handed batters. But his 92-mile-per-hour cutter hung out over the middle of the plate way too much, returning 6 hits against him, all 6 of his hits, in fact. And he was lucky this wasn't worse than it was, as he gave up a ton of hard contact and failed to miss bats. 1 strikeout, and as Nick would say, how am I supposed to butter my bread with that? 1 strikeout from Gibson, 4 times as many walks as strikeouts. Gibson is not an arm to chase in fantasy. Relief pitcher Nick Raquette was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And in terms of news, third baseman Charles McAdoo is expected to be selected from the minors today. He's the Blue Jays' number 26 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, and he's batted .250 with 8 homers, 6 steals, and a 112 WRC plus at AAA this year. Plate discipline and speed appear to be McAdoo's best skills, but he's displayed some pop as well, and he'll likely replace the role that Lenin Sosa has been filling in some sort of short side of a first place platoon that allows Vladimir Guerrero to see time at DH. We'll see how it works out. If Sosa is down to the minors or DFA'd in a corresponding move, expect McAdoo to replace Sosa directly. And lastly, outfielder Teoscar Hernandez is expected to be placed on the 10-day IL tomorrow with a left hamstring strain. Ha-Seong Kim could see time in the outfield. He spent some time there this year. Maybe it's Alex Call who could get a regular role. He's been somebody who's been limited to just facing left-handed pitching. But Ryan Ward is also the top option in the minors to be called up, or even the recently acquired Alec Thomas. There are plenty of options. I would not worry about the Dodgers with Teoscar Hernandez heading to the IL. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Wednesday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with shortstop Gunnar Henderson, who helped the Orioles to win against the Rays, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 home runs, and 3 runs batted in. He's up to 13 home runs on the year now, but he continues to struggle in the contact department with just a 222 average and a 714 OPS, but the counting stats are great for fantasy. Henderson, 13 homers and 6 steals. Next, we have second baseman Chase Meadroff, who helped the White Sox to win against the Twins, going 2 for 5 with a run, a home run, 4 runs batted in, and a walk for good measure. It was his 5th home run of the year, and it traveled 400 feet at 98 miles per hour. And Meadroff has completely changed his profile this year after being a contact-oriented bat with some speed last year. He hit 5 homers, stole 14 bases, batted .253 with a 14% strikeout rate. Now he's leaning all the way into his limited power, having already tied last year's home run total with 5 in 70 fewer games, but he's only swiped 1 back, so we're not seeing stolen bases from Meadroff anymore. The overall change has made him actually more valuable in the majority of fantasy leagues and in real life, as he's also batting 20 points higher at .273, despite a near 10% increase in his strikeout rate. WRC Plus also just suggests he's a better real life hitter, 20% better than he was last year because of the incorporation of power into his game. Meadroff's StatCast metrics don't stand out, suggesting he's not going to be a huge power hitter or even maintain his current batting average, but he is pulling the ball 6% more often, allowing him to tap into his limited power. There's nothing else that really points to sustainability in the power department other than a slightly increased barrel rate up to around 4 to 5%. And I don't buy that this new Meadroff is sustainable, but he is a better real life and fantasy hitter this year than he was last year. If only he could reclaim the stolen base prowess he had last year with 14 steals, then he would really be somebody that I would suggest going after in fantasy. His teammate, first baseman Munetaka Murakami, also had a big game helping the White Sox to win against the Twins, going 2 for 4 with 3 runs, a home run, an RBI, a walk, and a steal to complete the combo meal. It was his first career steal and his 20th home run of the season, as he's tied for the American League lead in home runs with those 20. And you're probably asking, well, who's there? Because Murakami's been leading the American League all year. Well, outfielder Yordan Alvarez had another huge game in Texas, helping the Astros to win, going 3 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 home runs, 2 runs batted in, and a walk for good measure. This is his second game in a row with multiple home runs. Incredible season for Yordan Alvarez. He's up to 20 home runs. He's the American League leader in batting average at .312. He's obviously tied for the American League lead in home runs. He's also the MLB leader in OPS at 1,085 for Alvarez, and that's a big part of that is his MLB leading slugging percentage at .663. If Alvarez can stay healthy, which is not something he's done throughout his career, I think he's the front runner for AL MVP. On the other side of that Astros game, designated hitter Jock Peterson did all he could, but the Rangers lost to the Astros. He went 3 for 4 with 3 runs, 2 home runs, and 2 runs batted in. He's up to 6 home runs on the year now. The first one went 423 feet at 103 miles per hour, and the second one went 402 feet at 104 miles per hour. Peterson has had a huge bounce back from his worst big league season last year when he batted 181 with just 9 dingers and a 76 WRC plus, looking absolutely cooked in that game. A lot of that was due to poor luck and a 203 BABIP, but he also saw a slight drop-off in his batted ball quality, which has gotten even worse this year, surprisingly, suggesting that his luck may have flipped too far the other way. Peterson's contact ability is in a career worst state. He's got a career low barrel rate, and he's been unable to pull the ball or hit it in the air consistently. He is walking more than ever, but that's not supported by a different plate approach, so I don't expect him to continue to walk at a 14% rate. But Peterson does have a 791 OPS on the season, but I think this version of Jock is fluky, and we can't expect him to get back to his 20-plus homer days at this point in his career. The underlying metrics just don't support that from Jock Peterson. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Wednesday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Cristopher Sánchez, who helped the Phillies to win in San Diego, tossing 7 shutout innings, allowing just 6 hits, while walking nobody and striking out 9. He induced 18 whiffs with 35% CSW across 100 pitches. And it's incredible what Cristopher Sánchez is doing right now. He's got a 44 2/3 innings pitch scoreless streak right now. 44 innings without allowing a run from Cristopher Sánchez. It's been like 5 straight starts or something. I think that math works out. Just incredible work for him. And that's allowed him to drop his ERA all the way to 1.47, making Sanchez the MLB leader in ERA. He's also the MLB leader in innings pitched with 79 and a third innings pitched. So you can't say this is like a small sample like we've seen from Shohei Ohtani and his sub-1 ERA. Sanchez has just been dominant, and he's right now the front runner for the NL Cy Young race. I also think he's the best left-handed pitcher in baseball at the moment. Garrett Cole also had a big game in Kansas City, tossing 6 2/3 scoreless innings, allowing 4 hits, walking nobody while fanning 10. He induced 15 whiffs with 39% CSW across 79 pitches, and he's gotten off to an incredible start with this season coming off of Tommy John surgery. He has failed to allow a run. I guess you can't really say he's failed. He succeeded to not allow a run in his first 2 starts thus far, and Cole's slider control was exceptional here as he kept it low in glove side, and he looked like vintage Cole in this one, and I'm pumped for the season ahead from Garrett Cole. Next, Jacob deGrom did all he could, but the Rangers lost to the Astros. He tossed 6 innings, allowing 4 hits and 2 earned runs, walking well, striking out 6, but he induced 20 whiffs with 33% CSW across 97 pitches, and he earned the gallows pull as he led baseball with those 20 whiffs yesterday. The home run problems continue for deGrom. He allowed just 1 here, but there were 6 in his last 2 starts combined, but he keeps chugging along with plenty of whiffs, and I'm not the least bit concerned as long as deGrom stays healthy. Next, we have Dustin May, who did all he could, and you really can say he did all he could, but the Cardinals lost in Milwaukee. He tossed 7 innings, allowing 2 hits and 1 run, walking nobody while striking out 9, inducing 13 whiffs with 41% CSW across 87 pitches. That was a season-high 9 strikeouts for May. He also earned the King Cole as he led baseball with that 41% CSW, and most impressively, May took a no-hitter into the 8th inning, but allowed a double and a single to open the inning before being pulled, and then watched both of those inherited runners score. May has had improved stuff in his first year with the Cardinals, with increased velocity and movement. And after a pair of rough season opening starts in which he combined to allow 13 earned runs, he's been super solid since then with a 3.02 ERA, a 1.10 whip, and a 20.5% strikeout rate in 9 starts. There was a while where May was just relying on ground balls and weak contact, which seemed like it was sustainable, but it also seemed like something he was able to control with heavy sinkers and overwhelming velocity. But he started to figure out how to parlay his impressive stuff into punch outs, fanning at least 7 batters in 3 of his last 4 starts, including 9 here, equating to a 26% strikeout rate during those 4 starts. May was a streaming Toby before the strikeouts showed up, and now I'm tempted to say he should be rostered in all standard leagues, with the schedule continuing to be easy with the Rangers next, and then he heads to Queens and then Minnesota afterwards. I'm ready to jump in head first on Dustin May. We had a great slate of starts on Wednesday. Connolly early was great with 7 shutout innings against Atlanta. Eury Perez had 9 strikeouts, and Bryce Elder, while not great, he was notable as his incredible run ended with 5 earned runs through 3 1/3 innings in Boston. But we're going to focus on David Sandlin, who helped the White Sox to win in Minnesota, tossing 6 innings, allowing just 1 hit with 1 earned run, walking nobody while striking out 4, inducing 7 whiffs with 31% CSW across 61 pitches. This was Sandlin's MLB debut. He's the White Sox number 18 prospect. He was acquired from the Red Sox in the Jordan Hicks trade, and he's pitched to a 0.55 ERA with a 35% strikeout rate in 6 starts between high A and triple A, but he struggled massively with his control with a 15% walk rate. That was not the case here, as Sandlin walked nobody thanks to a 67% overall strike rate. Surprising considering the jitters of an MLB debut. And boy, was his stuff interesting. And if he can consistently throw it for strikes, this could absolutely work. We saw 97 to 98 mile per hour four-seam fastballs, which will come down to around 96 miles per hour without the debut adrenaline. They had a slightly above average shape at 16 inches of vert, 1.2 Hava, and 6.6 feet of extension. It's not incredible, but if he's throwing them for strikes consistently in the upper 90s, the shape is good enough to succeed. He paired the heater with a devastating 83 mile per hour curveball that froze batters and found the zone consistently, stealing 7 called strikes. But the glue pitch for Sandlin was a 92 mile per hour cutter that helped in the strike department as it should. There was intent glove side against both lefties and righties, which is what you want to see from a cutter, and it did its job with 71% strikes and 100% weak contact on 3 balls in play. Now, I think the big factor for Sandlin's success will be his changeup and sweeper, which were thrown a combined 7 times. That's not a lot. We saw decent command of changeups arm side, with 1 even returning a strikeout on a swing and miss. They're pretty dope at 92 to 93 miles per hour with plenty of movement, while sweepers had good intent glove side and 1 return to strikeout as well. I like seeing Sandlin using both of them as put away pitches. Both give him another option when his curveball command is off. So if he doesn't have his curveball, but the fastball is returning strikes, he can turn to the changeup as a whiff pitch against lefties, and the same can be said for the sweeper against righties. Now we just need to hope that the control from this game sticks and that Sandlin can consistently throw a lot of strikes. I'm not sold yet because he didn't do that in the minors. Like I said, 15% walk rate, but I am down to jump in and find out in Minnesota next with David Sandlin. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Wednesday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves, starting with the former. Paul Sewald recorded his 14th save with a perfect ninth. Tyler Rogers also pitched a perfect ninth for his second save. Louis Varland did pitch in this one, tossing a scoreless eighth for his fourth hold. He faced the middle of the order, so they were using him as the high leverage reliever. That will be the case sometime with Louis Varland. That's how manager John Schneider likes to deploy this bullpen, and I don't think that hurts Varland's value too much. Cade Smith recorded his MLB leading 19th save as he worked around a run. Trevor McGill pitched a scoreless ninth for his sixth save. There was no Abner Uribe to be found. Maybe he's in trouble for his chop and thrust towards the Cardinals dugout on Tuesday. It could certainly be the cause for maybe a day off or a couple days off as the Brewers look to reprimand him for that show of, we'll say, affection towards the Cardinals. Next, Jose Alvarado pitched a scoreless ninth for his first save. Yohan Duran had pitched on back-to-back days and in 4 of the past 5, so he got the day off on Wednesday. Devin Williams had a hitless ninth for his 8th save. It was hitless, but he did walk 3 batters, so it was a little bit risky. Enyel De Los Santos got a perfect final 5 outs for the Astros for his 4th save. Brian King allowed a homer, recording the first out of the 8th for his 5th hold, but I don't think there's really too much reason to read into the Astros bullpen usage right now with Josh Hader due back this weekend. And lastly, Kyle Hurt pitched a perfect ninth for his first save. Tanner Scott pitched a scoreless 8th in that one for his fifth hold. He faced the 9-1-2-3 hitters, so I think they were saving him for the top of the order. So while Kyle Hurt is clearly somebody that's worth paying attention to, it's clear that Tanner Scott is still the most trusted reliever in the Dodgers bullpen. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Caleb Killian pitched a perfect 8th and 9th, trailing by 1. The Giants used him as they are off today. Pete Fairbanks pitched a perfect 9th, down by 1. The Marlins are off today as well. Clayton Beeter pitched a scoreless 7th, down by 2, while Gus Varland pitched a perfect 8th, trailing by 2. The Nationals are off today, so they use their best relievers there to keep the game close. Kenley Jansen recorded the first 2 outs of the 9th, up by 4, and then Brendan Hanafy finished the inning off after Jansen walked a batter. Weird usage there from the Tigers. And lastly, Antonio Senzatella pitched a clean 7th, then served up a solo shot to start the 8th before being removed. I would say don't trust anyone in the Rockies bullpen. The usage is just all over the place, and Senzatella is the only one worth paying attention to, and I don't think he's going to be on this team much longer. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's daily articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Thursday, May 28th, a day in which we'll have just 6 games on the slate. My matchup of the day is a good one. Chris Sale versus Peyton Tolley. Sale versus his former team, squaring off against the new top lefty, top southpaw in that Red Sox rotation. I can say that only because Garrett Crochet is on the injured list, but Peyton Tolley has looked incredible. Chris Sale's been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. I'm excited to see how these guys do squaring off against each other. In terms of probable starters, we've got 3 guys in the auto starts tier, including Sale. We've also got Paul Skeens versus the Cubs and Nathan Eovaldi versus the Astros. Our probably starts tier has 4 guys, and our questionable starts tier has 1, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Colin Ray in Pittsburgh. The Pirates lineup has actually been surprisingly solid this year, but it's still not incredible, and Ray is one of those streamers where you get any sort of average or below average offense, he can succeed. So we'll trust Colin Ray in Pittsburgh. And since he's the only guy in the questionable starts tier, I'd say don't stream anybody else if these are the only guys available, because everybody else is in the do not start tier. My top guy in the do not start tier is Patrick Corbin in Baltimore. He does have a sub 4 ERA, meaning he's made it work this year. He's not a big strikeout arm. He's not somebody you can really trust, but if you're so desperate that you need a save on today of all days, then I guess you can go with Patrick Corbin. But like I said, he's in the do not start tier. I would not recommend starting him. In terms of hitter suggestions, it's a short day, so I only have two. I target Angels and Tigers hitters in Comerica Park. Also, we'll see a great matchup for hitters. Grayson Rodriguez and his 10.61 ERA squaring off against Jack Flaherty and his 5.94 ERA. I think we're going to see fireworks in Detroit. And I target Blue Jays and Orioles hitters in Camden Yards. The aforementioned Patrick Corbin and his 3.86 ERA will square off against Chris Bassett and his 5.51 ERA. Both of these are veterans past their prime. I think the Blue Jays and Orioles hitters will be able to take advantage of them in Baltimore. Now we can close things out with our relievers to watch. Every closer should be available. They're all rested. But if you want to look for saves in a committee, you can look to the Angels and Twins bullpen. If you're looking at the Angels bullpen, I target Kirby Yates or Sam Bachman. In the Twins bullpen, I target Taylor Rogers or Yoendrys Gomez. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler, where I do daily SP streamers and break down every single start via the Pitcher List Stats player cards. Tune into YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. Carson Picard will be with you tomorrow and throughout the weekend, and make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.